Luke, have I got news for you?
What news have you got, Michael?
It's not particularly exciting news, but it is news. Zack Snyder has confirmed that there is indeed a Justice League director's cut.
What? You said this wasn't exciting news, Michael.
Well, I just feel like that, those studio hacks, they'll never let him actually release it. It's just he's just kept it somewhere, a masterpiece. So that's the worst thing about it, I think. The Zack Snyder Justice League director's cut is going to be worth millions of dollars in 100 years from now. It'll be like the lost.
Yeah, and it's going to be really, really average at best.
As good as... I don't get it. Okay, I do get it. There are people who actually liked Batman v Superman. But
there aren't. They say they do, but they didn't. Well, I've got a good tweet that sums up this whole Zack Snyder thing and my thoughts on it as well. Everyone thirsting for the Snyder Cut should be grateful that Warner Brothers fired Zack and pushed Joss around. You've all been given an unattainable object to fetishize for the rest of your lives. If they hadn't... Just
like Wonder Woman.
Yes. If they hadn't, all you'd have gotten was a mediocre movie. And I think that sums it up. People are just... Because there is this hope. It's everything that I want this movie to be, it's going to be it. They have this hope. But when it's actually released and it's not good, maybe some, like they did with Batman v Superman, will try to convince themselves that it works and it's what they wanted. But deep down, we know it won't happen. So it's why it's actually great for them to just keep imagining what possibly could be or could have been with this Justice League Zack Snyder cut. Because it's just absolutely ridiculous, really. It's not going to be a good movie. We all know this. And I really don't get why they're so obsessed with it. It's just rather pathetic. But again, it's better for them that they didn't release it, because they can keep imagining these things.
That's how I feel about the Star Wars sequels, because I think it's a shame that they haven't made any films since 1986. But I just like imagining how the story kind of plays out, the backstory and things like that in my head. Just knowing that there's no reason why what I believe happened isn't just as valid as anyone else's beliefs.
That was great. Well done. Now, I think again, if you honestly ask Star Wars fans who were around in the 80s, who were very excited for the prequels and disappointed them,
if they wanted the Zack Snyder cut.
Would you have rather just not had the prequels released? And I think a majority would say yes.
So what you're saying is it's like at the end of Jack and Jill, where Al Pacino watches his Dunkachino commercial and then he says, "Burn this."
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it's like. And
that's what it's going to be like when DC fanboys watch Justice League and they just see Ben Affleck "What's my name? Dunkachino." Great. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the film review podcast where we look at films from the near and distant past and we give them a couple of watches. No, okay, you know what? I can remember how it goes actually, so I'll just do it from memory, even though I did mess it up that one time. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films from the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we are celebrating the release of Jumanji. What's it called again? Jumanji 2. The Jungle Strikes Back by looking at Jumanji 1, Welcome to the Jungle. Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle?
Well, that's the thing, Michael. This is actually the second Jumanji movie.
What?
Yeah, there was an original Jumanji movie all the way back in 1995, I believe. It may have been, 1995, I think, yeah. So, this is the reboot, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, which came out in 2017. And as you said, we are doing this movie because of the release of Jumanji, The Next Level, which is...
Wait, actually, look, I think it's technically a soft reboot.
Is that when the guy says, Alan Parrish built this house?
Good old reference.
Yeah, and the reference is kind of true. It's like he built this house. Robin Williams actually, obviously, did kind of build the Jumanji house, in that he was the reason why the 1995 movie was so popular. So yeah, it was a nice touch there from...
You could say Jumanji ain't never had a friend like him.
Yeah, possibly. Anyway, so Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, is a 2017 American fantasy adventure comedy film directed by Jake Kasdan and written by Chris McKenna, Eric Summers, Scott Rosenberg, and Jeff Pinkner, based on the story by McKenna. It is the third installment of the Jumanji franchise. It's the third installment after Zathura: A Space Adventure in 2005. Wow.
No. Leave.
I did not know that.
Why aren't we reviewing Zathura, a space adventure, Luke?
I mean, it's got nothing to do with
fans what they
Jumanji,
want.
or at least I didn't think it did. Unlike the book, the film contains no direct connections to Jumanji. Okay, that's great. Thanks for that. And a direct sequel to Jumanji, which came out in 1995, obviously, which was based on the 1981's children's book of the same name by Chris Van Allsburg. It pays tribute to Robin Williams, the star of the first film, by mentioning his character's name, as we just went over just then.
Yeah.
It stars Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, Nick Jonas, and Bobby Knievel. Cannavale?
Evil Knievel?
Yeah, Evil Knievel, one of those. It was released on December the 20th, 2017 in the United States. And Michael, can you tell me the budget for Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle?
$1 million. No, let's go for 55 million? No, more than that. They were 70 million.
90 to 150.
Okay.
So I assume the 90 was the original and the budget was 60.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would make sense. So yeah, that was the budget. And can you tell me the box office? How much did it rake in?
220. No, it made slightly more than that. It made 260 million.
I love how you're getting so precise with this when you're way off. So here's the thing, Michael. When I saw this box office number, I have to say I was shocked. Like, this made me gasp. I don't get shocked by a lot of things, but this made me go, fuck, man, wow.
Did it make you go, cool, blimey, fancy that.
Cool, blimey, mate, fancy that. So, the box office for Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. I'll give you one more guess, actually, Michael. Have one more guess.
I mean, it's going to be like really high now. I don't know, 800 million.
More than that.
What?
$962 million.
Blimey.
Right.
That Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson draw really
that's
just
the thing.
does
He's
wonders.
Produced other movies since then, and they haven't done that well.
No, yeah, it's true, yeah.
And can I remind you that this was released around the same time, maybe a week later, than Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Or certainly, I can't remember what day Star Wars: The Last Jedi was released.
So people just wanted to get the taste of cancer out of their mouths.
But there you go. That's incredible. On the same week around the same time as Star Wars: The Last Jedi, a Star Wars movie. This movie rakes in $962 million, which is incredible. It just did amazingly well, and suggests that Star Wars: The Last Jedi just wasn't that popular. I guess. Well, certainly it grossed less than Force Awakens, as we know. But damn, like, do you think the good people at Sony, were very happy that this grossed that much? Do you think even in their wildest dreams? Do you think they would have expected a 962 million gross?
Yeah, I really don't think so. They must have, I don't know. But I mean, maybe they were like, finally, after not getting the credit we deserve for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the Emoji Movie, we're getting our just desserts with with this raking, and Karma's finally balanced out its ledger with Jumanji.
Yeah, exactly.
The box office gods, and all we had to do was sacrifice all those virgins.
It was the 5th highest grossing film of 2017. And it was also the 50th highest grossing film of all time, which is great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good number 5s.
Yes. And Michael, did you like Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle?
Well, you know what, Luke? I didn't love this film. I liked it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same for me. There's a...
That's like clever, wasn't it? Because usually people would say, I didn't like this film. And then you go, I loved it. But...
Yeah, that's very clever. The film... there's this line from Wikipedia, which I tend to agree with. The film received generally positive reviews from critics, who called it a pleasant surprise and praised the cast. And I think that was it for me, because I came into this thinking, okay, right, this is going to be a boring action movie. I'm not really going to enjoy it that much. I know it's got decent reviews and it grossed a lot, but I don't expect I'm going to really like it. But then I watched it, I was like, oh, you know what, this is pretty fun. I'm liking this, I'm enjoying this.
They should have called it Funmunji.
And overall, I would be like, yeah, I did like it, which, again, like the critics said, it was a pleasant surprise, I have to say.
I think everyone was surprised. Maybe that's why people were like, maybe people couldn't believe it. So people would come back for, like, originally just one guy went to see it on opening night, and then he came back and it's like, hey guys, I saw Jumanji and it was actually good. And I was like, what? I don't believe you. And then, it snowballed from there.
And people had to go back to watch it a second time just to make sure.
You got like people going like, I know we've seen it 10 times. Was Jumanji actually good? Jumanji by Sony,
a movie with
starring Chris Rock and Jack Black.
Chris Rock, mate.
So Chris Rock,
fucking racist bastard. Unbelievable. There's like 3 black actors in Hollywood, and you managed to get 2.
They don't even have like remotely similar names at all. Kevin Hart.
Yeah, to be fair though, they do have a similar style of comedy.
Yeah, you are right. Exactly. Yeah. And I should say actually, so that people don't think I was racist, I actually incorrectly identified Kevin Hart as Jack Black and accidentally identified Jack Black as Chris Rock, just so people don't think I was being racist.
Oh, that's the way around you did it.
Yeah. I just thought, Jack Black and Chris Rock, they're so similar. Kevin Hart, Jack Black, so similar.
Yes. Anyway, so what was I saying before that racially charged comment from you? I'll just say yes. I do think that it's quite incredible. Kevin Hart, a movie with Kevin Hart, an action comedy movie with Kevin Hart, and it was good. That is quite incredible. It's not what I expected, but he is the worst part of the movie, and we'll get into that. But anyway, Michael, do you have any nitpicks for Jumanji? Welcome to the Jungle.
Okay, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11.
Are you 11. Joking?
No. This one goes to 11.
Oh my god.
In the immortal words of Spinal Tap.
I can't.
None of them require that much explanation, though, Luke. Don't worry.
Wow. I've got 4. So I hope that in that time period where I say my nitpicks, you make sure that the maximum, or the minimum, I should say, is 11, and you can't cut that down any further. But anyway, let's get into my 4. So, my first one, the teacher, who realises that Spencer and Fridge, obviously the nerdy character and the athlete, how does she realise that they are cheating on, obviously Spencer's writing the papers for Fridge? How does she remember the same paper from a year ago? That is quite an incredible memory.
They may have a database where they cross-reference things. That would be the only thing I could possibly say. Because obviously, I mean, I don't know, maybe they get...
It's a paper thing, though.
Yeah, well,
how'd you get it onto the database?
I feel like maybe they, I don't know, have a scanner.
Why the fuck would you scan it?
Or maybe, you know what, maybe she just really loved Spencer, so she, remembered it. I would.
Well, that's why...
You don't forget a great phrase like something about Westwood expansion explosion.
Yeah, that's why when I was in A-level...
Me?
When I was in A-level, you submitted stuff online to make sure that didn't happen. All the papers you did were online. And same, obviously, for university, but yeah, even when I wasn't at uni. So, anyway, next nitpick. So the flirting thing, when Karen Gillan tries to flirt with the NPCs, I don't know why everyone would think that flirting works, since the characters are NPCs. So they're like, well, surely it won't work because they're just, robots, essentially. And it doesn't work at first, but then it sort of does. I'm just really confused about the whole dynamics. Like, are the characters enjoying Karen Gillan flirting with him? Are they just dropping their guns? I don't know, because it didn't work at first, and then it does. It was just, like, really weird.
Well, she's so good at dance flirting that she can break the programming of the most hardened NPCs.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Next nitpick. Right, there's no way this pilot guy has survived for 20 years inside Jumanji when only one mosquito bite can kill him. There's absolutely no way.
That's a good point.
Yeah, he'd have been dead long before that. He'd been dead back in 2001 at the latest, I'll say. So next up, Alex, obviously the kid who was originally sucked into the Jumanji game back in '96. He gets out and he shows up at his dad's house right as the 4 main kids are walking past it. And it's pretty obvious he's there for Christmas. So it's not like, he's there every day. And just, like, oh, hey Dad, how's it going? It's like, oh, this is a big thing. And he just happens to be right there as they're all walking past. It's quite a big coincidence, I would say. But anyway, yeah, those are my 4 nitpicks. What about you, Michael? What have you got?
Who FaceTimes in the middle of class?
Shut up.
Honestly, removing staples sounds like a fun detention. They should have run Oh, actually, you know what? No, I don't actually remember what that one is. Let's just go ahead and delete that. So, From the Deep was the first level, which they apparently cleared, even though all they needed to do was just stand around for a bit and then get in a car, which is made even more ridiculous by how insanely difficult the second level is. They go from like, hey guys, just stand around, then eventually like you'll walk off and then there'll be a car. And then they go straight to assassins with guns riding motorbikes, and there's like a billion of them. It just seems like there's not much, difficulty progression. Did I can't remember her name. Jack Black, I'll just say, have to get so close to the snake just to not blink at it. She could have stood at a distance and not blinked at it. The entire whole thing with the dance fighting and the dance flirting, all of that stuff, was because they're apparently not able to kill like two guys. And you just think, can they not kill two guys?
To be fair, I was going to put that in, but maybe the guards set off an alarm or something.
That could be
all the other people can watch down.
They should have silencers, really. They've never played Far Cry. The amount of time that they're sideways when they get Kevin Hart means that the helicopter should have smashed into the side of the canyon. Because the way helicopters work is that you get upward propulsion from the movement of the propellers. From the movement of the propellers, and that's designed to lift the weight of the helicopter. Well, let me tell you, if you turn upside down, you got maybe like a couple of seconds, maybe they're really quick about it, but they're like there for like a long time. So yeah, nobody would be that bad at kissing. Not even characters in a humorous family comedy film that may or may not actually be for families. Panther refers to any species of the genus Panthera, which includes jaguars. So it's inaccurate to say it's not a panther, it's a jaguar, seeing as a panther is the
Wait, did Kevin Hart say that?
Yes, Kevin Hart says that.
Wow, that is a proper nitpick really gets me.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was like crazy. This one's a big one. Because here's the thing. This was going to be a lit pick. I was going to have this as a lit pick until they ruined it. And the reason why is because I was going to give them a lit pick for having one character end with two lives. And of course, this was the sexy Boulder Dash. I can't remember the woman. What was her name? Ruby Roundhouse.
Yes.
Ruby Roundhouse. Had two lives, and I was thinking to myself, that's, I appreciate that, because in most films we go, oh, they've got three lives. I guess we need to have every single character just progressively lose two lives until at the end they all just happen to have one life. And I was thinking, of course that would be silly, because in reality there's no reason why you wouldn't expect some of them to leave the game with more than one life. It seems rather convenient. They'd all have.
They could have been tactical about it, though. It could be like, okay, you can afford to give one life, so you can take more risks. Yeah, I think there was a tactical element to it, but I was still so invested in how like unconventional it would be to have it end with one of the characters having a surplus life that I was literally going to give them a lit pick for Ruby Roundhouse ending the game with a surplus life, and then of course she in fact loses her life with the snakes. And obviously, I'm not necessarily saying it wasn't a perfectly well incorporated and dare I say even clever example of inventively getting around a thing, but I just can't forgive them because I would have been like, just because they've all got three lives, it doesn't mean they all have to lose two lives apiece. Some of them might just lose one life, but no, they had to just stick to the boring old, everyone's got to lose one life, they've all got to end. Everyone's all got to lose two lives, we've all got to end one life. No! And this one's like a Wait,
really...
did Ruby Roundhouse lose two lives?
Yeah, she did. She lost one for she got shot when they jumped into the waterfall.
Oh, she did. Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, I got bloody shot." And finally, pretty obvious one. I don't really hold it against it, but time paradox with him going to the future, going to the past. So obviously, Alex is now in the past, which butterfly effect logic dictates that should have at least changed like some substantial stuff. But everything's the same.
Maybe Fridge is white.
And so funny. Just appear in the future, just like, yep, you're white now. I'll tell you what though, I mean, most fridges are white, so.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, that's it. Boom. You're welcome.
Well, I got a fridge that's great, so.
My fridge has got like a wood finish.
Of course it has.
Yeah, I know, yeah. It's hickory.
What?
I don't know. Anyway, so I think next we should talk about the film.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Even though you said you wanted to talk about characters before plot, I think it would be worth just explaining what the plot is first.
I know, yeah, definitely, yeah. We do that. So. And actually, after that, let's talk about the premise and then the characters.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You're smart, Luke.
So, the movie is set 21 years after Jumanji, and it follows 4 teenagers who are transported into the video game world of Jumanji and play as their chosen characters. Joining another player, they must beat the game to return home. So, yeah, the premise of it is it's quite nice actually. It's obviously, these characters, they've been thrust, or these normal people or normal teenagers have been thrust into a video game, and obviously what they have to do is get out of it and play the game, as it were. And it's a very, very good premise, very interesting. Works humor wise, obviously, and I think is it original? I think it is quite original, because obviously you've had video game movies before, but I can't really think of another movie.
This is literally a video game movie.
Yeah, literally a video game movie. I can't think of another movie that has done this. Like, I searched.
There's the Simpsons episode where they get sucked into the TV.
Yeah, is that?
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
That's a Halloween one. To protect and sever.
Yeah, so I searched movies with characters in video games into Google, and I couldn't find anything else like this. I just literally got video game movies like the Resident Evil, a video game, and Assassin's Creed. Nothing with this specific premise of characters actually being in a video game. So I don't know if it's been done before. I can't think of any movies that have done it. Obviously, you mentioned The Simpsons before, but I will give it...
Yeah, it's not the same thing, though, because it's not a video game, it's a TV. But...
Yeah. But I'll give this movie credit because I think the premise was... It was fun, it was interesting, it was original, and yes, it works humour-wise as well, like I said. So, yeah. Anything else to say about the premise, Michael?
Yeah, I guess just... I think I liked the way they kind of set up the fact that it was sort of updated. Although, when you think about it, it kind of doesn't make any sense, because presumably if the prologue happens like 20 years earlier, that would be kind of the late 90s. And the original Jumanji was set in the mid-90s, so it's kind of a bit weird, because it's like... he says, who plays board games anymore? When the film that was only set a couple of years earlier, people were playing board games. But that's,
no.
The point being...
The original Jumanji...
am I wrong?
Yeah, the original Jumanji originally took place in 1969. That's when they were playing the board game.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking it was set when it was filmed.
Yeah. It does take place in modern day. It's kind of the same thing. Robin Williams gets sucked into the board game and stays there for 26 years, and it gets let out in 1995.
Oh, okay, got you. Anyway, but yeah, I like the fact that they kind of used it as a video game. Like, it was a good way to take the film to a new direction, but then also kind of be like, it's, modernizing it up, and it didn't feel at all hackneyed or anything like that.
It literally reboots itself, doesn't it? Think about it. It's a board game, and then it reboots itself into a video game.
It's just like they rebooted Jumanji into Jumanji.
Just like they rebooted Jumanji.
It's brilliant,
for modern audiences. So yeah, I like that. I like the way it works like that. But yeah, so I guess it's updated for modern audiences, and I guess if you're the idea to make it into a video game was a very inspired idea, because if you've seen the first movie, it's nothing like this. Like, it takes place in 1995 on the streets of whatever town they're in. They've got to play the game as well, but they're not actually in Jumanji, and there's no video game aspect obviously to it because it's a board game. So yeah, the idea to do this was very inspired. So I really do like the premise. I think they did a really good job on that.
Yeah. I did have, the other thing about the premise, I thought like it worked well in terms of like just having the plot progression, feel motivated, and that obviously kind of makes sense in kind of a lot of films. You need to have, why are the characters doing this? And in this film, like having it basically be they've got to complete a series of levels. It's kind of a good way of having the plot make complete sense, and like, it makes sense that the plot's clearly laid out and like what they need to do is clearly laid out. And yet, at the same time, it also makes it very kind of easy to follow and very kind of accessible. So I like that.
Yeah.
And I think I've got one more thing. The only other thing I wanted to say is that I also like the fact that, because obviously the characters could die. Actually, I guess the other thing about the thing is that obviously the concern you might have is you might go, well, doesn't this mean there's no stakes? That would be the thing somebody might hear immediately, because they might think, hey, characters can die, but in video games, characters just respawn. Obviously, they get around that by the fact that characters have 3 lives, as we've already covered. So I like that. But then the other thing I liked about that is that it meant you got to have all these kind of great and often hilarious deaths, like when Jack Black gets eaten by a hippo.
Yes.
That just makes me chuckle. It tickles me pink. So I like that too. And there we go. That's everything I can say about which I guess you can tell I was quite fond of the premise.
Yeah, no.
Well done them.
Yeah, the premise, it was really good, really well thought out. Again, because they didn't have this originally. It was just a board game. So to turn this into a video game thing and for it to work as well as it did, very, very great, very good idea. So anyway, we'll get on to now the characters, because at the end of the day, this movie, we can't really talk about the movie without talking about the characters, because it is focused on them. So we have 4 different characters who are all very different, who are obviously teenagers in high school. And the point of it is, obviously, they all become different people in the actual video game in Jumanji, and that allows them to fix their flaws. Also, that's what I thought, basically. So, yeah, all the characters are stereotypes. You got Bethany, like the hot girl, takes selfies, very self-absorbed, as Karen Gillan's character points out. Spencer, he's a Jewish guy, very weak. At one point, he actually says "Oy vey."
Yeah, I remember.
He says it as The Rock as well, which I don't know. I don't know how many Jewish kids say "Oy vey," but there you go.
Probably only the coolest Jew kids.
Only the coolest. So
I tell you what, they don't call it Jumanji for nothing.
Yeah. Great. Martha, she's a Lisa Simpson clone.
Why did you say that name?
Shut up. She's nerdy, doesn't want to play sports, just get into Princeton. Literally, when she was shouting at the gym teacher, I mentioned Lisa Simpson, she wasn't shouting at her, really. Talking back to her. It was literally from that Simpsons episode with Lisa Simpson, where she says to the gym teacher, what's the point in playing dodgeball or whatever? And that's reported to the principal. I think that's what ends up happening. Yes,
I do know the episode you're talking about. I'm trying to think. I think, to be honest, in that episode, it's just like a bit of a throwaway gag. What I do remember with a great passion is the time when Lisa shows up to the football tryouts and she's like, that's right, a girl wants to play football. What do you think of that? And Amanda's like, well, that's super, Lisa. We already have 3 girls on the team already. And she's like, you do? So, yeah. But yeah, I agree. She's
very Lisa Simpson-esque, yes.
Very Lisa Simpson, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of stereotypical.
Yes. But, like I said, all these characters are stereotypes, yeah. And then obviously at the end we have Fridge, who's the athlete, who's kind of dumb, only cares about girls. Basically, he's a jock. That's it. So, yeah, you got all 4 of these characters, and they all have room to grow. And obviously, that's why I guess they selected high schoolers to be the characters to play this game, so they could grow. I think... Well, let's start talking... Well, we'll go through each of the characters. I think we should start to talk about Spencer first, because he is the main character. Obviously, he becomes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Very different from his personality. And obviously, he needs to do this.
That's crazy.
Yes. Obviously, well, he doesn't need to do this, but he does this to become confident and courageous, because, that's completely opposite to what he was. But here's the thing, obviously, the movie sets up the original characters in the first 15 minutes of the movie. But I don't think it was very clear that that's what Spencer was lacking. I mean, he seemed like...
Bravery.
Sorry,
I'm just clarifying. Bravery.
Yeah, bravery or courage or whatever. I mean, he seemed like he was pretty okay with his life. He just had a bad friendship with his former friend, I guess. And they do patch that up, but I don't know, his art didn't seem that good. It was like, he's like playing video games. He's got a friend who's talking to him in gym class. I don't know, it didn't seem like he needed to be confident and courageous. I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I was going to say, I will say, actually, while I've got the opportunity, I did find... because I've watched this film twice, of course, and having watched it the first time and enjoyed it, I was actually surprised at how much I wasn't really on board with the opening kind of act, mostly because a lot of the things felt kind of forced, and obviously I forgive the film for that, because I think ultimately, they have these stereotypes, and they're like, okay, we'll do things with them, and ultimately it does become funny. But I will say, when you watch the film, I can imagine a lot of people watching this film at the beginning and thinking like, wow, this is terrible. These characters are really one-dimensional and crap. So I would just say, by the way, if just for the record, that as a professional reviewer, we maybe possibly get like a couple of pennies for all the views we get, on that Slumdog Millionaire video. Actually, look, I think we have enough views, watch minutes, that we can apply for monetization. So I'm going to say I'm a professional reviewer, and I must caution people, you might watch this film and at the beginning think to yourself, wow, this is a bit on the nose. And I'll just say, that's kind of the point. And just, I wouldn't say it's well done, but it becomes tolerable given kind of what they do with the characters. But on that note, I will say one of the lines I found to be on the nose is that the mum says, the world is a terrible place, to her son, to Spencer. It's like a bit of a throwaway line. And obviously he looks a bit nervous, and he's got all these asthma, like he's talking about like medication and stuff. tell you what he reminded me of is the weird kid from It, the one who's like
Oh yeah.
Obsessed with getting ill and stuff. Is big.
Well, when you say the weird kid from It, I mean,
yeah, they're all weird. But yeah, I would say ultimately, I think it is something which is established to some degree. Like he yeah, that's true. Yeah, so he kind of seems. I guess that's kind of the thing, because he does seem a bit sort of comfortable in his own skin. I guess that's the point. So I suppose what you'd say is that it's telegraphed that he's a scaredy cat in some sense. Like, for example, somebody walks up to him and goes, "Hey, Spencer," and he like freaks out and goes, "Oh," like that. But it's not well communicated. It's very obvious that they're just adding it in as like a thing where like, "Oh, look, we'll have him go, oh, I'm scared," and then that will make him a coward. Where obviously, I mean, the substantial thing. I mean, what would make him meaningfully a nerd, I think, would be social anxiety, which.
Again, he didn't seem to really have.
I was going to say, so they didn't communicate that. So I think that would have been, they kind of went for, oh look, he gets kind of jumpy, and also, he's worried about getting sick and talks about how many germs there are. He's scared, which obviously then the problem is he actually really he seems pretty chill most of the time. So yeah, I think it would have been, better if what they had his anxiety be is, social anxiety. I think it would have worked a lot better. Like if, instead of him being like, "Oh, you scared me," he was like, "Oh, I want to ask that girl out, possibly even the nerd girl who eventually doesn't." Yeah,
they kind of do that, but not really. It could be like,
I don't think he does really. Yeah, so I think that's what they should have done.
What they should have done
a lot more into that.
Actually, he needs to give a speech in front of the class, and he can't do it. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, and then everyone can make fun of him. They can go, "Hey, nerd, why don't you try actually being able to read for once, Poindexter?" And then he'd cry.
Okay, so yeah, that's Spencer. I think his arc was a bit unusual, a bit disappointing. Didn't really connect the two. I get what they're going for.
But I think what's weird is that I think because you're just about to say you get what they're going for, and I think they almost got close to.
They just need to set it up
which actually
better.
Worked. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Like if they would have just had it be, he's nervous because he's bad at public speaking, or he's bad at asking girls out. Basically, like I say, social anxiety. Then obviously him being brave, while it would be a different kind of braveness, I would be willing to accept that being brave in one sense translates to being brave in another sense, and that would be good. And maybe they could even have a whole thing about like how there's different kinds of bravery. Like sometimes some people are brave because they, go to war. Other people are brave because they stand up for what's right. That would have been powerful. Wouldn't that have been powerful?
I mean, I'm not really sure it suits the Jumanji movie, but
remember, Luke, bravery is not the absence of fear. It's perseverance in spite of it.
That's a good quote. Yeah, very good quote. That's something that the British guy could have said at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get on to Martha now, who's the the Lisa Simpson clone. She actually looks like Karen Dillon a bit. Obviously, all the rest of the characters don't really at all. Anyway, her character growth is similar to Spencer. It's like, she's having and that's the thing. She needs confidence. That's pretty clear. But I don't know. She seems pretty confident talking back to the teacher when she's doing that. She seems pretty sure of herself. But it seems like her character flaw would be not that she lacks confidence, but that she lacks having fun. Like she takes life too seriously, perhaps. That's what I got from the setup. Again, setting up her character. But again, like the first part doesn't really set up what her actual growth turns out to be, similar to Spencer. Now, it would be good that afterwards she showed she was participating in sports and enjoying herself as well after her experience. But it's like she can now kiss Spencer. I guess that's her arc. That's her confidence.
Nothing funner than kissing.
Yeah, I'm not really. Again, I don't think her growth, like Spencer, really makes that much sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing with that I kind of picked up on is it almost seems like she's one of the things that she gets called out on is being judgmental. So obviously she is judgmental.
Yes.
For example, she's the kind of person who. Have you ever seen that comic where it's like two people were kind of like talking about sports, and then this random sort of nerdy looking guy starts going, "Oh yeah, sports ball! I love sports ball, sportsy sports ball," and then one of them just leans in to him and goes, "Shh, let people enjoy things. And I do think like do you remember that Neil deGrasse Tyson quote where he like says, he tweets something like, when the Super Bowl was on, he tweeted like, I weep for, the years we could have been spending exploring the earth if our society spent a little less time focusing on football.
I mean, I don't think there's no correlation there. That's what I'll say to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but basically, it's like this idea people have that like you can either be a smart person who cares about being intelligent and wants to think about the world around you, or you're somebody who likes sports. And I think like that's a genuine annoying thing that like people believe, that there's like, either you're sporty or you're smart.
I would like to say I'm an example of that not being true, Michael. I really enjoy sport.
You're so smart.
Incredibly intelligent.
you're nice one, Donald Trump. Anyway.
Oh wow, what a burn! Can't believe you went there. Jesus.
I can't do my Donald Trump impression. Sometimes I can, but I just can't do it that time. Anyway, but the thing that I'm basically saying is, in other words, like, it's a very judgmental thing to be like, oh yeah, I'm so smart because I have my sports. I just remember the other one, the one where like it's this like a guy with a huge body and a tiny head. Walking behind a guy with a tiny body and a huge head, and the guy with the huge body says, "Where do you work out?" And the guy with the huge head says, "At the library." Then it's basically, it's all the same thing, like this idea of, oh, you like sports, you must be an idiot, you must be stupid, a waste of time, why are you doing that out of your life? And basically that's what she's saying when she says, I don't know why we're focusing on sports instead of something that actually matters. So basically she's judgmental. And then obviously, so there she's basically judging, people who like sports, people who care about sports. Then Jack Black says, why do you always judge me, based on the fact that I'm pretty much. I mean, she doesn't say something like quite that simple, but basically you get the impression that I really am not going to be able to remember absolutely anybody's name.
Of course you're not.
Ruby Roundhouse, that's it. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't remember the actual characters.
She's called Martha.
Made up names. Martha, yeah. How could I forget that? But yeah, Ruby Roundhouse, Jack Black says to Ruby Roundhouse, why do you hate me because I look beautiful? And you get the impression that Ruby Roundhouse is one of those people who, like, in real life, who sort of thinks of themselves as sort of a cool nerd, probably listens to, rock music, maybe the Beatles, but
you
possibly
really
like Green
hate
Day.
this character, don't you?
No, I mean, I don't mind her. I don't know. The thing is, I had somebody who both looked like...
Oh, yes, yeah, this is
and acted like... Looked like and acted like this person around me. Here's the thing, you know what, Luke, actually? I don't dislike it, but this person, and this is true, actually had a crush on me. That's the real...
Is that a verified fact?
Okay, Luke. I mean, I've got to tell you right now. I mean, this is a real story. He's sitting comfortably.
I guess so.
I'm sat in,
You're going to have to cut this out,
register.
I think, by the way.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll cut this out. It's a good story. But anyway, basically, the point is that she was like the kind of girl who would sit there sort of being nerdy, but like she listened to Green Day, as a matter of fact. I know she was a huge fan of Green Day. And also she just stared at like the hot girls with contempt. And that's my theory on the kind of person that this Jack Black woman is. No, not Jack Black. This Ruby Roundhouse, Ruby Ribeye woman is. The kind of woman who she just hates people who aren't like her. Probably also, I'm going to bet that Ruby Roundhouse thinks she was born in the wrong generation. I mean, are you willing to take that bet, Luke?
I'm willing, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wait, I mean, if you're willing to take that bet, does that mean, like, I win money if she would?
Yeah.
So, yeah, how much then? Like, because let's make this serious, Luke. A quid.
2 quid.
Anyway, the point is that, yeah, like, I think this is a very particular archetype, but the weird thing is that they don't really do anything with that archetype. Like, if you genuinely had just this kind of standard Tumblr girl, sort of nerd, sort of a bit rocky, who, again, says, I wish I was born in a different generation. John Lennon. I don't know. I wish John Lennon would beat me, because John Lennon beat his wife. Then you could really deconstruct that in a more meaningful way than just having the conclusion be, yeah, you gotta learn to kiss guys. Why didn't she have a scene where she goes, hey, look, there's no civilization. This is what it was like back in the 50s. So stop idolizing Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Next character.
No, it does, just to sum up, it does seem like her arc just went from, well, she doesn't like gym class and she's, I guess, kind of snooty, and she needs to learn to have fun, perhaps, and not be so serious. And it goes from that to, oh, she's kissing a guy. Like, she doesn't really, her setup doesn't make sense to where the conclusion of her character arc is, basically.
Could you even say, Luke, just now I think about it, I know we like to bring politics into our reviews, which everyone's very fond of. Could you even say this is the P word? Problematic. After all, I mean, she's a character who has a character, and then suddenly, next thing you know, boom, she's being something about a man,
No, because it doesn't make sense for Spencer's arc either. Yeah. A similar situation with him as well.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't make sense for sense.
Yes. Anyway, next let's talk about Bethany. Obviously, the girl who takes selfies becomes Jack Black, and her character growth is good. She is, like I said before, self-absorbed, but she actually sacrifices one of her lives to save someone else. So it makes sense. She wants to go on a trip to a nice place, which isn't really part of it. It's like, oh, I want to go to. She was saying to her friend how she wanted to go traveling or whatever. It was like, well, she wasn't really opposed to that before.
Well, she did. I mean, she did travel, Luke, though. I mean, no, but they should have had a scene actually earlier on where she wanted to go traveling, but just so she could, take a picture of her helping some, Nigerian kid or something.
Oh yeah, it would be good for the Instagram.
And then later on she was like, let's go traveling, but not because it would be good for the Instagram.
Yeah, that would be good. What?
Gasp, you're a completely different person.
Yeah. Also, I did feel like it was a genuinely emotional moment when Alex, obviously the kid who the guy who they save in there, then obviously he comes back and he's 40 years old and he has kids. When Alex said...
Yeah, what do you think about his character development?
I don't think there was much, to be honest.
He went from being somebody who didn't want to leave his house to being somebody who was willing to leave his house to go visit his granddad.
No.
Oh, sorry, his dad.
Yeah. No, I did feel like it was genuinely an emotional moment when Alex said to Bethany, like, I named my kid after the girl who saved my life. I thought, oh, that's really...
Yeah, I like that.
That was really nice, because obviously it did seem... in these type of movies, you don't often get like that emotional moment, and it's often forced. But I thought, that's actually quite a nice moment. I did like it. I think it was set up well. Obviously, it worked. It was very, very well done. So credit to that. And I think Bethany had the best character arc throughout the movie.
She had the Beth character arc.
Yes. So let's go on to Fridge now, who is the athlete.
You know what his problem is?
What?
He should have been the cowardly one, because whenever there's action, he freezes up.
No, well, that was kind of meant to be Spencer's thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying he should have been.
Oh, he should have been that.
because his name is Fridge. Okay. So therefore, whenever there's something scary, he freezes up.
Fantastic. Right. Sorry, I just didn't realise you were doing a joke about that. I do.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I'm funny. God.
Anyway,
everyone says it. Yeah.
So here's the issue with Fridge. And I think we've saved the worst to last here. He doesn't have any character growth throughout the movie. Here's the thing. I thought at first they were going with, people think he's dumb and he thinks it himself, but then he manages to do something really smart when he's in Jumanji and he saves the day with his intelligence and, working something out. And he's like, yeah, I can do it. I'm actually not dumb, and that gives him some confidence to write his papers himself and not rely on his nerdy friend to do it. But that doesn't happen. What is his character growth, really? He patches things up with Spencer, but again, that you could be argued they didn't do that well, really. It's like it suddenly happens kind of out of nowhere near the end of the movie. It's not a very heartfelt moment either, like it could have been, but he doesn't have any character growth. And I was certain they were setting that up. I was certainly going to be, they're going to say, okay, he's going to solve something. He's going to be, because he has to use his brains instead of his brawn. And he realizes that he can use his brain. He doesn't have to be the dumb football player or whatever. He can write his papers, like I said before. He doesn't need someone else to help him. But they didn't do that, and I just thought that was an incredibly obvious miss. And they tried to do character growth for all the others. They just didn't do it for him. So what do you think about
I agree. I mean, there's nothing really. I think the problem is that. And this may be moving into a different territory, but obviously Kevin Hart is... He is the most trying to be funny in this film. Compared to... I mean, obviously, Dwayne Johnson it's funny because of like the writing and, basically because he's trying to be serious. Jack Black is naturally quite good with kind of physical comedy, but Kevin Hart, his whole thing is he says the funny in the film, and the audience goes, ha, Kevin Hart said the funny. But like, yeah, basically because of that, he doesn't really get taken very seriously. And I think the other thing is, like, the joke is, Fridge was tall, Kevin Hart's short. And you know how the greatest oppression faced nowadays is the oppression faced by a short man, which I know you know a lot about, Luke. It's funny because nobody knows how tall you are in this podcast, so anything I say will officially be true.
I think I mentioned it before, actually, but whatever.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Anyway, but basically, yeah, like, it's sort of like, he's short, and that's the joke, and obviously that arguably doesn't leave the most room for character development. I think the only thing they could have really done is have Fridge be a bully who's obviously big and uses his bigness to beat people. I mean, not literally beat people, like intimidate people and things like that. And then obviously he learns. The problem is, I guess maybe they didn't want to do that because it would make it hard for him to be likable. Or maybe they didn't do that because they just didn't feel like it.
No, I think that would have been good. I think, he's a bully, and then he becomes Kevin Hart, and that would make sense as to why Kevin Hart
he gets bullied.
Well, it would make sense as to why Kevin Hart is now small, and because he needs to show humility. But at the start, again, the setup, he's just a typical jock. He's not really a bully in any sense, and he doesn't seem like he's changed afterwards. So yeah, again, that would work. I think my idea about him being dumb and then him being smart would, or realizing he's smart would work as well. But you could just do that with the bullies, like, oh, he's just basically intimidating people, and then he can't do that when he's Kevin Hart. And
kind of like how Nelson Muntz gets sad because Nelson Muntz bullies people because he's upset about being stupid.
Yeah, then he realizes the errors of his ways, and realizes not to pick on people who are smaller than him, and then that's character growth. But they don't do that, and the whole reason perhaps why they can't have character growth is perhaps because of Kevin Hart. Like, it's just very difficult to have a emotional moment with Kevin Hart, a moment of growth with him, because he just has to be so shouty and funny. I say funny quotes all the time. Like, you can't just turn it down ever. He always has to be doing Kevin Hart stuff, just being the most Kevin Hart he can be. And it's not great for an actor, to be honest, to only have one mode. And like, you could say The Rock, he has several. He gets lumped in with Kevin Hart sometimes, and they've done movies together. But The Rock's so much a better actor than Kevin Hart. Yeah, and it's just really, like, it's hard to be serious when everything that Kevin Hart does is basically comic relief. And his comedic, I was going to talk about the comedy later, but basically Kevin Hart, his comedic chops, his persona is, I'm just going to be shouty, I'm going to be abrasive, I'm going to be aggressive, and it's going to be funny because of that.
It's like Leslie Jones in Ghostbusters, except the opposite in terms of how well it's received.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously there are people who hate Leslie Jones in Ghostbusters, but I'm talking about people who aren't racist.
Yeah, so it's hard to have a character learn and grow when Kevin Hart's acting, basically. It's hard to have that happen, so that's why maybe it doesn't happen. I don't know, but anyway. Those are all the characters. Shall we get into the plot? I mean, there's not much to talk about. I mean, the plot is basically the premise. Like we said, it's these characters are, like you said before, it makes complete sense what they're doing because they have to follow the video game plan. They go from action scene to action scene, and they don't have to work on the plot really because it's like a video game. They just got to do the objectives.
They have cutscenes even. There's like a bit where they're like, oh, it's a cutscene designed to explain, the plots to the characters. And I guess that's the thing, like, obviously, in a film, if a film has a scene which is obviously just serves as unnecessary exposition, you'd go, well, that's not very good, it just serves as unnecessary exposition. But when it's a self-aware video game, self-aware video game, you'd go, oh yes, that's an accurate representation of what certain video games would be like, especially from this era when video games wouldn't necessarily have been that good. And then you can, kind of, which again, I think all power to them if they want to, be cheeky.
Yeah, the premise allows them to get away with doing stuff to the plot. Like the villain, he can be wafer thin, and be one-dimensional, because he's just a standard video game villain from what would be a game in the 1990s. He's the evil bad guy that wants to control control Jumanji. So that's the villain in this movie. It doesn't need to be any more than just that. So yeah, the premise allows a very thin plot. Like I said, the characters going from action scene to action scene with no real thought about the plot, no suspense. They're just doing it because that's what happens in a video game. So yeah, it works because you enjoying these characters. Just doing action stuff, seeing actors play against their usual roles, apart from Kevin Hart, obviously. And I think that's why, to be honest, the middle part of the movie is the best.
Oh yeah, I actually wanted to say on that regard, Dwayne Johnson does a really good job playing, I say really good job.
No, I think he does.
A pretty good job.
I think he does a really good job.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, fine. We'll say really good job.
I think he does. I think he was very believable. I was going to point that out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I just need to be less reserved in my praise. Yeah, he does a really good job playing a nerdy guy who's in the body of
Dwayne Johnson. Yeah,
Dwayne Johnson, and yeah, it was it's really convincing, and a lot of Dwayne Johnson's moments are good. And I think it is very believable. Well done.
Yeah, it's fun to see them discover themselves. It's fun to watch Dwayne Johnson and Jack Black, also being different, just pretending not to be themselves. That is inherently fun. It's a good idea, and the actors can pull it off, which they did. It works really well. Yeah.
I think really the only thing with the plot basically is that it's quite thin, and while I think you can give it an excuse, I think
of the
ultimately,
premise,
but I think ultimately it does make it not as enjoyable to watch as it could be on the second watch. I think possibly was my thoughts. So
yeah, I don't
know what you think about that, but yeah,
I don't know. I think people who watch this, it's just for the action scenes and just to see the character, The Rock not play himself and Jack Black play a teenage girl. That's where
the point is. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not the best story ever told.
No, it's not. Again, it must be great writing this if you're a screenwriter. I don't have to really focus on any plot, really, any thing that a normal action movie would have to have, or how do I get the characters from here to here? It's just that's just where they got to go because it's a video game.
That's why Tarantino should have written this film, because if there's one thing we know, it's that Tarantino struggles with having tight, well-defined plots, but he's really good at writing dialogue.
We would have seen plenty of shots of Karen Gillan's feet if we had that,
which I can't say I'd be complaining about.
Okay, yeah. I just want to say one thing on the plot. When they get into the game, I think they would freak out more, but whatever. Like I said, I think, it's just the middle part of the movie is the best because you get to see the actors, like I said, not being themselves, and it's also fun, when they see their character abilities. I like that scene as well, and just.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like actually. Wait, sorry. Oh, I love how Kevin Hart's weakness. His weakness is cake, and it's just that's the thing. Is that such a memey thing? Because these girls, it's not all girls, but it's definitely all girls, are going to be posting on their Tumblrs, on their Instagrams, on their Twitters, cake is my weakness, and they're going to be eating cake, and it's going to have a picture of Kevin Hart's cake is my weakness, and they'll go, ha, ha, ha. But also, it was strength is my weakness. Yeah, so basically, I really just, like I say, we can say that Kevin Hart wasn't great, but I think that moment, of just him finding out that all his skills are crap is bad. But then I also kind of to take it more in kind of a plot direction, I do also like how he, at the end, everyone sort of finds their own niche and use, which I guess you kind of know was going to happen. I'd have to be pretty incompetent to not have the film end that way. But I thought it was, nice that everyone's they start with all these shitty powers, apart from Mr. Smolder, but then they all have their own little place. And final point on, I guess, another positive for old Kevin Hart, as far as the plot goes. I like the bit where hey, obviously Dwayne Johnson's it's easy to be brave when you've got, lives left, but when you've only got one life, it's hard to be brave. And Kevin Hart's that's reality. Reality is we only have one life. I thought that was, poignant.
Yes, poignant. It doesn't really make sense that Kevin Hart's character would say it, though, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess that's the problem, yeah. So, it feels kind of the people writing Kevin Hart's dialogue sort of knew what was up, but Kevin Hart didn't.
No, but that's the thing. They gave him Kevin Hart lines. They didn't make him non-Kevin Hart. But then maybe they were Kevin Hart was okay, if you're going to put me in this movie, I need to be doing Kevin Hart stuff. Yeah, that's basically, I don't know how it went down, but it's just a shame he had to be him, basically. Anyway, I just want to have one more thing to say about the plot, with the issue with the death thing. Right at the start of the movie, there's not a question really of whether they die in real life or just in this video game. anything like that until they've had like 2 action scenes. Like, surely that'd be one of the first things you think about, especially after Jack Black died. I think it's more than a nitpick.
Yeah.
As I would expect that to be one of the main things on my mind after Jack Black died. Like, oh my god, how many lives did he have?
I don't know. I might initially think, as an assumption, I might go, well, I guess that just means we respawn when we die. Like, I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I wish one of the characters
true,
said that.
But, I guess that'd be it. If somebody would have said, hey, we respawn when we die. Of course, the only problem then you might ask, well, why didn't they just, well, I guess I was going to say you might ask why didn't they just be really reckless, but we can assume maybe that they assumed that dying wasn't pleasant. I don't know. But, I agree. Generally speaking, that you are right.
Well thank you. So, video games.
You're so smart.
You're welcome. Video games. Now, we're going to talk about that. So, obviously, this movie is a video game, essentially. It kind of mocks video games and stuff. There's... sorry, I'll say that again.
Yeah.
It kind of mocks video games at certain points. You've got NPCs saying the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't know anything about that, would we, Luke? Anyway, let's talk about how this film relates to feminism. It's funny because, we easily could.
Yeah. I mean, well, not really. I don't think...
Because we're such NPCs. Well, Luke, let me ask you this. Why wasn't Spencer a racist sexist?
What do you mean, why wasn't Spencer?
Because he was a video. He was a gamer.
Oh, I see.
So, and I've got another question. Okay, at no point does Spencer say we live in a society.
They actually, I tell you what, they mock when Karen Gillan says, "Why am I wearing these clothes in the jungle?"
Oh yeah. Actually, yes. They did give us some feminism.
Yeah,
good point.
They did give us a bit of
well done, NPC.
Yes. Yeah. Why?
I like the part when they criticise the bad sexism.
Yes. That reminds me of that Lara Croft tweet.
By the Amazing
Yes, that was
Atheist.
it. Am I really going to have to be the one to say Lara Croft's tits aren't big enough in the new movie?
It's just so hard.
I know. I mean, he really cares about the franchise. It's just...
He cares about women and possibly even things other than the size of
cares about representation at the end of the day. So there's a bit more stuff about it being a video game, how to play this must mean we do this and that and all of that, but I think they could have made it more like a video game. Like, for example, one of the...
I was thinking
one of the trademarks of a video game is you got a final boss to beat.
Oh, yeah.
There's not really that. There's a bunch of Jaguars and that Van Pelt guy, the evil guy, shows up at the end, but there's not really like a boss, and that should be the standard thing that they have to beat. So
another excellent point as well.
Oh, thank you. So there's not really much of that. Not a lot of rhymes as well. There's a couple of rhymes, when they talked about the basket and the casket. I remember that. There's not more of that, which they could have put more effort basically into the video game aspect of this movie. Maybe they're like, the audience won't care. They'll just care about The Rock and Jack Black, not being themselves and the action. But yeah, I think if they played up the video game stuff more, that would have been good, because it did feel like they're kind of like, it was like a secondary thought, and I think they could have done more with that.
I agree. I think the other thing is, I kind of mentioned how the bit where the bad guys were just people on motorbikes felt a bit kind of almost out of place, and I think what the problem there is that sort of it's not very original idea for bad guys to just have them be like guys on motorbikes. So I think again, they should have had not only number one, I think more interesting bad guys rather than just guys on motorbikes. They also should have had a boss. That's a really good point. And I was also thinking they maybe should have had more kind of puzzle oriented stuff. Like that was what I was specifically thinking of when I was watching it. Annoyingly, I was remembering the Emoji movie when they get to the firewall and they had to they have to play Just Dance. The Just Dance app. But ignoring that aside, maybe that's why they didn't do it. But I was thinking to myself, like, in video games, you usually kind of have like puzzles. That's kind of a stereotypical thing you'd see in a video game, like some kind of thing that would test the mind a bit. And maybe that could have been a good opportunity to maybe have your little Kevin Hart moment.
Exactly. But, I'm just surprised they didn't.
Yeah, they don't really have. Yeah. I mean, when you break it down, they don't really have many missions in this. I don't know, like your standard video game, it's got at least 6.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have like 3 things that they've got to do, and there's this thing about climb when you see the elephant, and the elephant shows up, and then the Rock's like, I've got to climb the Jaguar or something. But you'd surely do that anyway. Like that's what you would do in that exact instance. You don't need the elephant to show up to tell you.
That's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, so I'm just if they had more puzzles, like you say, that'd been really good. And like you said as well, it would play into maybe Kevin Hart discovering something, working something out, and he's like, oh yeah, I ain't dumb. I'm smart, and that could help his character growth.
Yeah, it's Kevin Hart, more like Kevin Smart.
Yes. So there you are. There is the there's
problems. Yeah, so basically, let's summarize. Number 1, bad guys, uninspired. They weren't interesting. Number 2, didn't have a final boss. Number 3, should have had more brain-teasing puzzle things.
Yes, that would have been good.
Those, it's basically, in a way, it kind of, I guess, almost feels like significant portions of the film, as much as we kind of said that they had a good thing going for them with the sort of excuses they had, given that it's a video game film and basically video game structure. The plot in many ways doesn't actually feel like it fully embraces the video game aspect.
Yeah, like it kind of does it a bit. That's the thing. If they really embraced the video game structure, I would really enjoy this movie more than I did. But it kind of does it. It's half-heartedly, really. And like I said, maybe they just didn't care about that. It's like nobody care if we fully embrace the video game stuff. We'll just use it as the structure, but not go any deeper than that. So yeah, that's that, I guess. Shall we move on to comedy now, Michael?
Yes, we should.
So at the start, before they become the characters in Jumanji, you got that. I just hate this humour, like the awkward humour when a character says something awkward and they have to try and walk it back, even though they don't really need to walk it back, and then they try and do it by being even more awkward. I just hate that stuff.
What specific thing are you referring to? I can't actually remember.
Like when fucking Martha talks to her gym teacher, that happens.
Oh, that, yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't know.
And then after,
that's the thing. Like I was going to say, like I've already said, I found the opening scene a bit cringy and on the nose in terms of the characterization. I think I also found the opening, not scene, but opening act a bit cringy and on the nose in terms of the humour too. Actually.
Yeah, and then when Spencer is talking to Martha as well, when he says, "I was watching you," again, it's just like that awkward humour, which is just so annoying. Who finds that funny?
Yeah. Are you sure it doesn't just trigger you because every single time you walked up to a girl, she'd say, "My goodness, you've grown," and you'd go, "So have you. Grown more beautiful, I mean."
Where's that from?
It's from Star Wars, Attack of the Clones. "Annie, my goodness, you've grown. So have you. Grown
That's
more
from
beautiful."
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I was thinking it was from like Superbad or something. I don't know. It just like seemed like a type of line from that movie. But it's in Attack of the Clones. Wow.
Brilliant. Love it.
What a fucking movie that is. So that was the first part of the movie, that comedy, which I didn't like. But then after they got into the characters, you know, they have the obvious comedy about them being different to the characters in the game, the original characters, obviously. Kevin Hart is just so annoying, man. I don't know. I've said enough on Kevin Hart. I just think he...
Yeah, have you ever watched like Kevin Hart stand-up?
No, I don't.
Have you ever watched it, Luke? Have you ever... I remember Scott at uni was watching, I think it was a Netflix special, and it was just not funny at all. I mean, like, I will admit, I don't hate Kevin Hart.
I don't hate him
in films. I would say this, I prefer Kevin Hart in films over Kevin Hart in stand-up, because at least in films, there's like other things going on rather than him trying to be funny, but in general, he's not that funny.
Yeah, I mean... I don't know, like, he just says stuff and it's loud and it's I don't even know, like, there's no, like, cleverness to it at all. There's no real, he doesn't really say any jokes, to be honest. I'm going
to see if I've got anything written down that I found funny about
Kevin Hart.
I've got one here. Okay, I've got one thing written down. It's not something funny he did, though. It's when he ate the cake and then he exploded.
That was a funny moment. That was the funniest thing he did.
Yeah, the thing is that wasn't...
But it wasn't him.
That wasn't. I mean, and I liked the bit later on when he called back to it and the guy was like, "Yeah, my skill is that I'm really good at..." I can't remember what he says, but he's like, "My skill is I'm really good at this." And Kevin Hart's like, "I ate a cake and I exploded."
It's okay.
It's like it's one of his. I guess the reason I found that funny is because one of the more understated lines from him. So
yeah, that's maybe is the case. It's understated. Everything he does is overstated. Literally everything he does. The standard Kevin Hart comedy moment is something happens and the characters are like, "Hey, calm down, it's fine, don't worry," and he's like, calm down," and then he says whatever happened to him in a high pitched voice, like, you know. And
also, he literally like 1/3 of a murders somebody. His character is the only character. Yeah. Sorry, I mean this isn't really humor, but his character is the only character who like actively, kills somebody.
Yeah, Kevin Hart is a murderer. I think that's what we can take from this. Yeah, obviously you got Jack Black.
Yeah, except his jokes don't kill.
That's good. That's really clever. Kevin Hart would be proud of that one, Michael. I'll tell you.
It's the funniest joke.
I think the funniest thing, again, Jack Black and The Rock not being themselves. And it's just...
Yeah, I want to say about Jack Black, I think, is just so good. I mean, Jack Black's really good at just being a bumbling buffoon. But my personal preference for the Jack Black thing was the line where he just goes, like when he has to go for a wee and he experiences his penis for the first time, and then he's like, "Hey Martha, come look at my penis," and you just hear Martha like off screen go, "No thanks." Yeah. That was like funny. Like it was like, it just felt very, I mean obviously it wasn't like very real, but it was funny.
No, he didn't.
And also,
sorry, go on.
So I was going to say that the whole scene with, Martha, Jack Black trying to teach Martha how to be sexy. That was very physical and kind of, making funny faces. And I think Jack Black's very suited to that kind of comedy.
Yes, definitely.
Just look, it's like, and it's funny because, it's Jack Black. Like Jack Black pretending to be a teenage girl. And he's like, because that's the thing with Kevin Hart, sorry, we're going back to Kevin Hart, but he's just pretending to be a teenage black kid.
Exactly, yeah. There is absurdity with all of the characters apart from Kevin Hart's character. Like, it's absurd that Dwayne The Rock Johnson... Well, the only reason why it's absurd that Kevin Hart is playing... Kevin Hart is this character is, Kevin Hart's short. The Fridge is really tall. But their personalities don't seem like they would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So, there you are. Well, that's the thing. The personalities, maybe they seem like they would be different, but Kevin Hart doesn't play that out. Like, there's no reason for... it would be good if he... Or what's he called? He's a zoologist. What's some of the things that zoologists...
Well, I think maybe... I mean, the thing is, like, you could have him be kind of dressed up more like a nerd.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Like, like he should have glasses. Yeah, it should have been Jeff Goldblum. Like, except Jeff Goldblum's hot, but he's at least a bit more nerdy.
Yeah, so I think it's just not Kevin Hart playing, or Fridge being Kevin Hart just isn't absurd, and part of that is down to Kevin Hart's performance. But yeah, The Rock being Spencer, that's absurd. Karen Gillan, Martha, it's absurd. And obviously the most absurd is Jack Black being a teenage girl. So yeah, and that's why it works so well. And yeah, it's organic. They don't have to force anything really. Apart from that peeing scene, maybe they did force that a bit.
I loved it. I mean, sometimes you got to force it because, like, you get a bit of stage fright. There's people around you.
Good point.
I always like to I give myself a countdown. I think that always helps, like from 10. Quick countdown, obviously. Don't want it to be stood there.
Obviously. So yeah, that's what I think. The comedy overall, the first part bad, the middle part solid, and that's where I enjoyed the movie at its most. So yeah, not didn't really make me laugh, but I didn't really expect it to. So it was fine. Yeah.
And obviously, again, I don't know if you covered this yet, but obviously we've kind of tangentially mentioned her, but not really mentioned her. The Martha's character is funny in some cases. She's usually funny only when she's playing off other characters. She's not really much of a comedic thing in her own right, but she doesn't really try to be, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But also it's sexist because it shows that women aren't funny.
Well, Jack Black was funny and he was a woman.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they broke down barriers for sexism all over the world.
Yeah. Anyway, Michael, shall we now conclude on Jumanji? Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, I think we should. Let me just double check that I haven't got anything. No, yeah.
Do you want to go first?
You go first. Nick. Why not? Okay. I'll let you. Okay.
I was repeating back what you said to me.
Oh, okay. So, I thought you were trying to be nice. I thought we were doing that thing.
No, well, you do what you want, Michael. You do what you want.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. It's fine. If that's going to be a little if that's going to be a little ray of sunshine in your otherwise sad, miserable life, then why don't you go first, Luke? If it clearly means so much to you.
It does actually. So thanks. All right.
Yeah.
You get me so much. Anyway, so Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. The best I can say about this movie is it's fun. That's the best thing I can say about it. For the first 15 minutes, it's like, this isn't that good. But once they get into Jumanji, it is really fun. It's a really good premise. It's interesting. It works for the humour, and they really do make sure that the humour works. Jack Black playing a girl, obviously The Rock playing a nerd. Yeah, it should be funny, and it is funny. And I think overall, it's a success. I just wish that this could have been a really great movie if they had made the arcs work a bit more. Obviously, we pointed out the issues with Martha's arc, Spencer's arc, and the fact that Fridge doesn't have an arc. He literally has no character growth. If they did that But obviously, we praise Bethany's character growth. If they, did as well as with Bethany as with the other three characters, I would have been like, "Wow, that's really good. This is, this is not just good. This could be really good."
Really butters your crumpet.
Really butters my crumpet, as you say. And again, another criticism: video games. They could have spent more time actually focusing on how video games play. Like you said, puzzles. That would have been good. But yeah, I can't criticize it too much. I mean, this must have been a really easy movie.
Yeah.
It was good. I think that's the thing. It must have been quite an easy movie to write, comparably to other movies that these screenwriters write, because the premise does all the work for them. And it really does. The premise is such a great premise that it literally kind of carries the movie, but it's fun. So I think I am going to give this movie, I was thinking a 7 out of 10. What do you think about that, Michael?
You know what, Luke? I am kind of thinking the same thing as you. It's mostly because I realize I don't actually have that many 7s. Even though I could literally just decide to include more as technically 7s, but I don't really have that many 7s. But apart from that, I also think, I'm not just, forcing it in there. This isn't some kind of crazy thing. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, 7. So I wouldn't be shocked if you gave it a 7.
Yep, 7 out of 10 for me for Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, which, again, when this movie was first released, it was well more than I would have expected I'd be giving it if I ever reviewed it. So there you go.
Okay, well, since I'm not an idiot, I'm going to be giving this film a 4 out of 10. No, I'm kidding. So I think, yes, this film, it is fun. You are right. It's enjoyable. Most of the characters are funny. To be honest, like with me and Kevin Hart, I don't think I hated him as much as you did, or I don't think I didn't find him funny when he was doing his things, but I was kind of able to ignore it in a way that, maybe is surprising. Like I say, the beginning was very, with it all feeling a bit on the nose and not very good. But then suddenly, I think when you had that moment of like I say, it was delightfully absurd. And I think possibly I like absurdist comedy. If there's one kind of comedy I like, it's absurdist. Jack Black being just crazy, loved it. Jack Black ain't whack. I think there were some missed opportunities with the plot. And I will say one thing I am concerned about is that I think possibly the missed opportunities of the plot will hurt it upon a rewatch. And I am kind of thinking, even as I do this, that when it comes to our world famous quarterly review series coming soon, I could see myself possibly saying, you know what, I've given it a year, I've rewatched it, and it's, not that fantastic because of how uninspired the plot feels and things like that. But since it's, I'm wearing my Christmas jumper, it's the 5th of December, Christmas jumper month is officially upon us, and I can't be mean. So I'm going to put this film above The Post and below Zootopia in a number 7 spot. So there we go. Well done. You did it, Jumanji.
Okay, Michael. So what are your predictions then for the sequel to Jumanji, Jumanji The Next Level?
Okay, I should say I don't know how much the original film got.
I'll give you a
clue. I am actually going to
76%, and I'm going to give you my guess first, actually, because I often feel.
Okay, thank you for that clue.
I do it. I'm going to.
Yeah. So. Give me your guess.
I'm going to guess 59%.
Okay, you know what? I really am feeling optimistic. So I guess, but I'm not feeling that optimistic. So I'm not going to quite go for 54% because I feel that's the bare minimum difference. But I'll go. Sorry. I didn't mean that. I meant 64%. I'll go for 65%. You said 59, right?
65. Okay. See, I don't know if you've seen the trailer.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's the thing. I mean, that's like I was just saying before we started the podcast. I don't really watch trailers, and I feel like that's probably going to be my consistent. That's going to have to be something I get into the habit of doing in order to predict these things more accurately.
Yeah.
Although having said that, was the original trailer for Jumanji actually? Oh, sorry. Was the trailer for the film we just watched? Was that good? Because I can imagine the trailer.
I don't know, but here's the thing:
like
the premise. We talked about how the premise is funny, but again, if you do it for a sequel, it's like, okay, we've already had this. So what you're now going to do next time? And Danny DeVito's in it as well, which makes me think. And
I'm the trash man. I go out and I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
They're just going to kind of up the absurdity levels, which is just going to make it kind of incredibly shit.
Incredibly better. Yeah. The more absurd, the more I heard.
I just think it looks like from the trailer the plot's going to be a mess. That's what I think. In contrast to this, the plot is going to be a mess, and therefore the movie will kind of be a mess, and the premise won't be there again. Well, the premise will be there, but you won't have the enjoyment like you did the first time because it's like we've already seen this.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think it'll be that good. So that's why I'm predicting 59. But anyway, Michael, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we're doing a really unimportant film. And to be honest, it's a film that pretty much nobody has ever reviewed before. The Phantom Menace.
Star Wars Episode 1.
After all, it is Star-sember.
It is, yes. Yeah, you're right. I don't think I've ever seen a review of The Phantom Menace, so it'll be nice to do that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
I want to know whether or not you think the prequels are good. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? It's going to be really fun finding that out. So, Michael, thank you. What should I say here?
You should say thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Say thank you for coming on my podcast for your what 200th. I can actually tell you this exactly. For your holy shit! Is this episode 100? Am I being no? Oh no, we skipped 2. It's almost episode 100.
Yeah, it would be with American Beauty, perhaps.
No, earlier. No. Episode 100 is Solo: A Star Wars Story.
What a great movie to have it. So, yes, thank you for listening to our review of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. We have been selecting and reflecting on it because of the sequel, Jumanji, The Next Level. Join us next week for The Phantom Menace. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been
Luke, and thanks for listening. Goodbye.